Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, baseball fans. This is Carl. Welcome back to Barstool Baseball. This is Wednesday. It is the National League show, and I am joined by experts. Two of my favorite guys to talk baseball with. It is Chris Castellani and Chris Klemmmer. Guys, welcome to the show. I want to welcome you, Klemmmer.
The man's in pain.
Yeah, today really. I just got back from the Mets game. They lost, and just got beat, manhandled by the Rays. It was 8-5, but it wasn't that close. But the thing, it was just like Verlander just looks really mortal, and it was just a bit of reality of like, all right, so the easy part of our schedule is over. Now we're starting to face some heavy hitters, and we can't really compete. Like we didn't. I said it's 8-5, but it really wasn't. They had 2 home run in the ninth. It did stop. Like it was
garbage time.
We got throttled. We got our asses kicked. And that's with our best pitcher on the hill against a bullpen game for them. You know, they started deep, went to Contreras, who pitched 4 2/3. Like, he was, like, I don't know, man. I mean, and, you know, it's really depressed. So,
Okay, hold on. Get your breath. Because
I got my breath.
I'm saying you were at the game, so you're coming back from the game. It's late Tuesday night. We're recording our Wednesday National League show. We're going to be around the National League. We did our power rankings on Monday. We've got an American League breakdown that Castellani is going to lead to us on Friday. But it's late Tuesday coming into Wednesday morning. We have a slate of stuff to talk about the National League. I'm just being honest so that people know the background. Because if Verlander came out and threw a gem tonight, we'd be leading off with fireworks and things can come back. There's some stuff we're going to get to with the Nationals. We're going to get into the Central with a deeper dive. Some managers are on the hot seat. But, like, it sucks that our big lead story is, Verlander looked like shit. The Mets look like shit. Like, as we sit here for a National League breakdown, I'm sorry, Klemmmer, the lead story is what the fuck is going on with the Mets?
They stink. I mean, it's so depressing because, like, you know, like you guys know how it is. Like, you guys, Tigers, Cubs fans, like, you know, some years are just, you go into the season, you know, it's not. Yeah. You're like, all right, well, you know, you're looking for, you know, who's the rookie we can call up? Or like Castellani, like, Tigers kind of stink. Like, but you have, like, Riley Green's interesting. Yeah. Some guys are like, all right, like, Eduardo Rodriguez, interesting.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you have that mentality. I went into this season with a very different mentality.
Yeah.
Won 101 games last year. Obviously, playoff disappointment. But this was a team that I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's win 100 games again. Let's fucking kick ass. Let's have some fun. And instead, it's just been a nightmare. And there aren't even, like, memorable moments so far this year. I know they start off 14-7, but it's just a slog. It's not fun. I've been to 10 games this year. They're 3-7 when I go, but it's just, there's nothing good. It's just bad baseball. It's boring. They don't really score runs. Everything stinks, and there's no way out.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is no way out. And that is terrifying.
That's the hard part. And I think we were talking about it a little bit before we started, but you were very fair in saying, hey, look, you're struggling a little bit. There's a 13-game stretch coming up. This is where you find it. And how many teams that ended up being, you know, World Series caliber teams had that 500 April and then just turned it on in the summer months or before the summer months? Now you got to play catch up because you went 4-9 in that stretch. And to have a thin margin of error against the Tampa Bay Rays right now is not exactly the place you want to be. The one, and I teased it to you, Klemmmer, before we started, the one consolation or maybe a little bit of solace you can take in this, having watched close to every start of Justin Verlander's career, he's good, even in his best years, for 1 or 2 of these a season. Now, I didn't watch the entire game tonight. I didn't see his stuff. I may feel a little bit differently if, you know, fastball's at 91. But I still think of all the guys on your team, he's the one you should be least worried about, though, because I think the biggest issue that's plaguing you guys right now is I love the makeup of your roster coming into the season, and so many of the guys that you relied on last year immediately nosedived. Cano was very good last year. Marte was excellent last year. It seems like everyone has taken a step back, so it's not the hype was to be believed. It just, you know, you hate to put it all in one, but
there's something there about these players taking a step forward together. So, like, I agree with you that obviously these players been trash, right? Cano's been brutal.
He does have 10 doubles. I mean, I'm not fine.
Sure. He's the modicum of average. Let's not celebrate him. Nimmo's been great after he got paid. Marte's been trash, but he also hurt his neck, you know.
Yeah.
Pete Alonso was tremendous in April. I don't know how he's been over the last 2 weeks.
He hit a home run today. He's got, 14? He's leading baseball in home runs. He's not the problem.
We can rule out McNeil and Lindor probably aren't the problems either. You can't point your fingers at them and say we're losing games because of them.
So, yeah, McNeil though isn't having a very good year. He's been
right.
Lindor is bad. His defense has been pretty good. Right. And then you mix in Carl was saying Canna not being that good, Marte being horrible, and then add up enough of those recipes along with really bad starting pitching. And you're going to get a team that's 3 games under 500 and is really scuffling. And I don't know how it gets better.
No, I'll stop you because this is where the depression sets in, and we can't do this, guys, because I said this before in the power rankings. I'm going to come back to this. The Cubs won the World Series in 2016, and they were 2 or 3 games under 500 at the All-Star break. They ended up going to the NLCS and were a bad pitch away and a bad at-bat away from going to their second straight World Series. Now, you know it closer because you watch them very closely. And so it's very easy for you to come back and say, wait a second, Carl, I know them because I'm watching them day to day. So this is where I'm coming in as a baseball friend and say, hey, 30,000 feet here. Let me remind you, the last 4 NL pennant winners through 40 games had 16, 17, 18 wins apiece. I don't think there was another team within the last 4 or 5 years that has had a really good stretch that's won the NL pennant. There's a number of reasons to talk about that, but the most recent one is the Phillies. I don't think that's a close comparable, though, because it's not like you guys have someone waiting to come back from the disabled list. Your problem on the IL is Diaz, and then your problem came back with Verlander. He was good in his first 2 starts, as Chris said, but the third start's awful. Castellani, you've seen him very closely. Concerns with Verlander at this point?
Me, very little right now, because I just know that this is the caliber of pitcher he is. He's going to pound the zone, and there's going to be a few nights where he's going to leave a lot of pitches over the plate. I still think he'll be fine for this year. I don't know what the future looks like beyond that, but he'll be all right.
Carl, to your point, is the season over? No. They're a game and a half out of the wild card. Like you were saying, there's plenty of teams, but there even be the Braves last year off to a slow start.
Yeah.
The Phillies last year, obviously. And even look in the American League, right? The Blue Jays, had a slow start, and then they fired their manager. And I don't know. My issue is the way the roster is constructed, though. There's not a lot of wiggle room as far as making moves. You're kind of locked into the guys you're locked into, at least for the next 2 years. So it's just if this team goes 76 and 86, we got the same guys coming back next year, and they're older. And it's fuck me. And
Let's be specific. If you take out Brett Beatty and Francisco Alvarez in this lineup, we're talking about an average age that's 33 and a half.
It's an old team.
That's old, pal.
It's very old.
Beatty's 23 and Alvarez is 21, but after that, it's 28, 31, 34, 34, 30, 35, 34. These are heavy.
And then look at the starting pitching. Carrasco, Verlander, sure.
Yeah, that's the even bigger one to me, because you're right. Lindor's been around for a long time. He's proven to be a very durable player. He may have his struggles, but you're going to get 140 plus games out of him at short. But yeah, it's one of those things where on paper, I think many people would have come into the season saying a rotation led by a 39-year-old and a 40-year-old is insanity. But you roll the dice on that when you're talking about 6 combined Cy Youngs. So I think it could be in many instances, and we're seeing it. We saw it definitely with Carrasco as well. Maybe it is just father time. Yeah.
You could have a rotation with Bob Gibson and Tom Seaver, but you know what? Those
not
guys
scoring runs. Right, yes.
Do very well. They're fucking.
I'm going to get real specific when I talk about the Mets right now. Here's the perfect player that personifies the 2023 Mets. It's Brooks Raley. Brooks Raley was a huge prospect out of college in 2011, 2012. Was on those Micah Waka Texas A&M teams. Was a center fielder that would pitch on weekends. He was in and out of Major League Baseball. He went over to the Korean League or the Japanese League for a number of years, and then found a resurgence in baseball. And it just, this is my long-winded way of saying I'm not surprised to go through the Mets, and when you see Brooks Raley's pitching 12 games, Brooks Raley's 35, 36 years old. He's a great novelty for the Rays when they discovered him out of the Korean League and they were able to develop his cutter or something. But that's a textbook player the Mets have leaned into. Is you didn't discover or find this person. You're just willing to pay them more as they've already established themselves. And maybe they just don't have that edge in the front office, because as you do go through these names, holy smoke, some of these guys are very unimpressive. And I hate to beat on Danny Vogelback because I know he's doing the best he can, but you see him run the bases, and you're just like, dude, you one-dimensional player. Like, how you did these rule changes? Like, there's just so utterly like one dimension of players.
Yeah,
I've never seen a more one-dimensional player in my life, and I've been watching baseball for a very long time. He can't play versus lefties. He can't run. He can't play defense. He can only do one thing, and he's okay.
Not doing it. Yeah.
Hey, yeah, he's got, he's slugging under 400. But the thing is that when you go against the lefty, you're playing almost like one arm behind your back. You're playing with one man short because he can't play. Yeah. You can't do anything with him. This lineup, and honestly, really, guys, I think a lot of this blame falls on Billy Epler. You wonder with David Stearns in Milwaukee, a lot of talk is that he's on his way out. He was a lifelong Mets fan as a kid. Would Cohen move heaven and earth to get him? And I hope he does. I think the Epler regime, for what it was, nice job last year, I guess. Move on. It's time to move on. And I don't mean to be, 101 games last year, but this roster stinks.
I think that a huge problem, real quick, Carl, is I think that they've done a poor job with depth pieces. Carl just alluded to it, and you talked about it. Brooks Raley, Vogelbach, Michael, what was his name? Joey Lucchesi. It's like there's a lot of, it's a National League show, but there's a certain team that I root for in the American League that's done a good job with those depth pieces, those scrap heap pieces that come up and put up good numbers. I mean, it seems like this was a team that was not built to sustain injuries or underperformance. The depth just isn't there.
Tommy Pham has got 80 plate appearances, guys.
Yeah.
And who cares how much you're paying him, but it's just a perfect example of like Tommy a couple years ago, sure was an edge, but like, is it an edge if he's getting paid $6 million this year and he's already kind of into that sweet spot?
Yeah.
You wonder. That's a good point. Is Epler too reliant on these old guys? Is this a thing on him? I don't know.
I have a fix. I'm sorry, I have a fix. Rick Hahn. Go hire Rick Hahn. The only thing that's held him back from being a great GM is being able to spend the money allegedly. So, allegedly.
I'm honestly like, and I have tickets to all 3 games this weekend against the Guardians. Like, I kind of don't want to go. Like, I'm bummed out. I'm sad. Maybe I'm just like, I'll feel better tomorrow. I just need a night to sleep. But I'm just like sad.
It sucks. I've experienced that almost every year the last 6-7 years of when you get to May and you're like, this is just going to be a long summer. Now I still think, man, I'm saying this to you not just as your friend, but honestly, I do think there has to be there's going to be a 4 or 5 game win streak in here at some point. There has to be in the next month. If there isn't, then they're completely fucked. But I know there's talent here. There's been a ton of regression. They are too talented to. Dude, if they win like 75 games, Jesus, I don't know. I want this for you guys, man. I'll be.
David Peterson's mid-8 starts for us. His ERA is 8.08.
Is he the worst pitcher in baseball?
Is it his fault? Are we gonna shit on David Peterson? Should he be out there? Should he even be pitching for your Mets?
Well,
that's such a listen to me. If he's gonna have a fucking 8-something ERA through 8 starts, do not come shitting on this guy. You need to be going right to Billy Epler or Buck Showalter or whoever else, because at that point, if it's that obvious, or those guys are going to come back and tell you, Klemmmer, shut the fuck up because David Peterson is a good pitcher. Here's why. Now, that could be a bullshit argument. Do you think that's a bullshit argument? Do you think he sucks?
Yeah, he's done it.
Okay.
80 ERA. You are. But, he's in Syracuse right now. And, he probably belongs there. He stinks.
Yeah.
He was okay last year. For whatever reason, it's not his slider isn't flat this year. It's a big reason. The movement just isn't there in his pitches. Yeah, but that's a fair point, Carl. You're right. Like, after, it wasn't like he was good after 5 starts. He's been horrible since.
Wait. Do people know that this guy had 126 strikeouts and 105 innings last year? Like, it's not a bad stretch. Like, he's a bad pitcher. Like, he had a 102 ERA plus last year. He had 125 ERA plus in his debut in the COVID season. Like, his FIP last year is 3.6. Like, he's not a bad pitcher. He's got some issues with walks. He's got way too bad command. Is that the issue? Like, because here's the problem when we talk about bad pitchers is I think you have the general, people have the general idea of thinking of like this guy throws 92 down the middle and people fucking tee off on him. Like, he's bad. Why? He doesn't have good command. He doesn't belong. And am I leaning too much into David Peterson here? Should we be talking more broader about the Mets?
No, I don't think so, because Peterson is a big reason why they're in this situation. Like they're 1-6. He's 1-6 rather. He's made 8 starts. It's horrible. But the issue with him, I think, is that he's so reliant on one pitch, right? Like his slider was really kind of his bread and butter, more or less. And when that pitch goes, you have nothing else in your arsenal. It can get ugly fast. And to your point, Carl, you're right. After 5 starts, well, Peterson's not working out. Who's the next guy down? And you know what? There's no next guy. Right. There's nobody. And that when the cupboard's bare, when you open up the fridge and there's nothing in there, you got no money and you're hungry. It's a terrifying feeling. And that's what the Mets are looking at right now. They're starting rotation depth.
Are there concerns, Klemmmer, with the coaching personnel? Obviously, Buck Showalter is, made man, but hitting coach, pitching coach, do you feel like they're up to snuff? I mean,
I don't know. Hefner did a great job last year. Chavez, they kind of moved him around a little bit. They wanted him to be more like this, bench coach, assistant manager types. I don't know if he was the hitting coach last year, seemed to do a good job. Is it just these guys all got old at the same time? Is Buck Showalter 100% safe at the end of the year? I don't know. I don't know. But it is also May 16th. So I'm not ready to, get Buck Showalter's, gravestone yet. But at some point you gotta like I said, this team goes 76 and 86. Buck might be unemployed.
Well, it sounds like somebody's gonna die. There's an outsider. It sounds like some bad news is coming.
Heads after all.
Let's revisit manager hot seat situation real quick.
Okay.
I do want to throw in if you guys could bring Yogi Berra back to be your manager. It Ain't Over Movies out. We did that plug on that. They didn't pay for this, but they're our first brand sponsor. Like this isn't like an official advertisement. We talked about it on the Monday show. This is the Wednesday National League show. You better believe we're going to bring it up. The It Ain't Over movie is out now, guys. You can go get tickets now at itain'tovermovie.com. We've talked about that. Yogi Berra is great. Now let's stay in the East for a second. I do want to talk about the Nationals. There's a guy on the Nationals in particular that really jumps out to me because he's fucking grinding it out. You guys just had a really disappointing series against the Nationals. You got to watch them closely. We're never going to talk about the Nationals on a Monday. Ever. Unless we're just shitting on it.
Right, yeah.
So there are a couple players that jump out. Now, when we talked last week, like CJ Abrams was number 1 in my rankings for the most average player in the National League. And I actually might update that and throw Joey Meneses in it because even though he's hitting 300, like this is a guy who back in 1950 would have won MVPs because he's hitting 300 with a 394 slug. Like it's so endearing. Like it might be the lowest isolated slugging percentage in the history of baseball. For any guy to hit over 300. Any guy to hit over 300. Anybody hitting over 300 has never slugged this low.
Well,
why here?
Yeah, exactly. You have guys that have, but it's pretty rare when a guy's like a first baseman DH type, especially the guy that had some power last year. Now, I will say in my mentions, I am getting annihilated by Nationals fans. They're very happy to dig up my prediction I made in March when I said they were going to lose 100 games. But you know what? They are going to lose 100 games this year. They stink. That team is lousy. I have no problem saying it. Yes, you split a series with my shitty Mets. Congratulations. The Nationals have had incredible luck this year as far as staying healthy, minus stress. The second those dominoes start to fall, you could be in trouble.
Now you're right. You're right. Hold on. They've only played 10 guys over 25 plate appearances. Only 10 of the players have more than 29 plate appearances.
Wow. And check out that pitching staff as well. They've been very lucky there too. Now, look, the Nationals, I got to give them a lot of credit. They hustle their ass off. This is a team that plays super hard. And every win they get, they absolutely earn. I also like what they're doing with their team. CJ Abrams, you got Ruiz catching. They have some interesting pieces there. I like some of the starting pitchers. Mackenzie Gore is interesting. I think he's starting to show that he's a legitimate major league starter.
Yeah.
Josiah Gray, same thing. So they have guys that Trevor Williams is a guy I desperately miss on the Mets. The Nationals have him. But these Nats fans are I'm some idiot for thinking Nationals aren't good. You know what? The Nationals aren't good. They suck. And hey, every team has times when they suck. It doesn't mean I think the Nationals are going to suck forever. I think they're doing the right things to get in a position to succeed down the line. But in 2023, if you're going to come at me and like tell me the Nationals are good, you're fucking wrong. That's just
it's so funny, man, because I guarantee you 90% of Nationals fans before the season shared your sentiments. Like, yeah, it's going to be an awful year. It's going to be a terrible team. It's such a weird thing that sports fans like to do where it's like, only I can talk shit about my team. You can't. Like, no, I think Davey Martinez gets the most out of his players is kind of what I noticed from that team. Because you're right. Like, it's a terrible roster. I mean, they might have a few pieces that might be on the up and up, but like, dude, Jeimer Candelario was getting like, meaningful.
Let's go. I hate that guy.
He had one good year for us that fell off the face of the fucking earth. And so
you don't get me to say that a lot about baseball players, but he's on the short list of players where I'm like, you know what? I see that name and I'm like, because when the Cubs traded him to the Tigers and then he had a productive season, he was a name that came up a lot where they're like, so we should have never traded this guy. He tries his hardest. He's only 29 years old. You'd think he'd be 36 years old from how much people bitch about him. But yeah, I understand. Good year for you guys, but just average across.
No, I'm with you. I mean, we thought so little of him at the end. We non-tendered him, and this is true. Came into the season without a third baseman. Like we just said, fuck it. Like we will take a replacement level player in Nick Maton. So it's a terrible team. It's a rough roster. This won't last, obviously, but at least...
Nothing even that's the last thing. They're on pace to lose over 90 games.
Go fuck yourself, dude. They just played you guys hard. They're 18-23. They're a hot stretch away from being on pace to win 80 fucking one games. Klemmer? You guys are going... They're 18-23. Did they lose tonight?
They lost on a walk-off home run today.
Okay, well, that's sad news. I'm sorry. I was sitting here letting it go.
What they're... pounding their chest about. It just seems bizarre to me. But like
because they are playing substantially better than people thought they would up to this point.
Been fine.
As a fan of a guy who's experienced this way too often in the last several years, even if it's 40 games in and you're 5 games under 500, celebrate it like it's the World Series because you know that 10 and 30 stretch over 40 games is coming quickly in the hot summer months.
Well, when Kyle Finnegan could have a couple blown saves that are on people's minds while they see Klemmmer come across the timeline like all fucking hot and bothered about double parking.
And like they dug it up and like now they're all like, so they're like, oh, look at the series against the Mets. All
right.
So I mean,
all right. This is something that's near and dear to my heart, to Rico Bosco's heart, and it's Patrick Corbin. Guys, he's pitching to a 4.6 ERA. I think he's given up 60 hits in like 45 innings, struck out 30. Classic Patrick. I'm dying. I pull up a Patrick Corbin. I can't make it through this segment. I love Patrick Corbin so much because he's literally just doing what he has to do to get the massive paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
He knows when he takes the mound, he's like going to be
who he is.
Worst pitchers most of these guys see. So when he puts a big game up against you, fucking Klemmmer.
Oh, dude, it's so bad. Like, you see Corbin and your eyes light up. You're like, all right, Patrick Corbin, here we go. And then I think he's beaten us twice this year.
There is, as a fan, and this even when the Tigers were great, there was nothing more annoying than getting shut down by the shitty pitcher. By the one that you look at, you go into the season knowing, all right, we're probably going to face him 5 times. That's 5 wins right there. Like, that is, it's so ironic that these guys both played for the Nationals because his contract is Jordan Zimmerman 2.0. It's a pitcher who was probably the best pitcher on the market the year that he became a free agent. I have to go back and look in Zimmerman's case. Got probably way more than he deserved. And then fell off fast. Now, Corbin had one good year. Corbin had one rock-solid year with the Nats where they obviously won it all. So in a weird way, like, he's earned that deal. But yeah, is he like one of one in the... Well, Jordan Lyles, I would say the other one. But I feel like Corbin, in terms of big-name pitchers or, guys who have had success or made all-star teams, he's kind of the last of that massive bloated contract, still taking the mound every 5th day. Strasburg doesn't count because he doesn't pitch.
So Corbin, here's a great stat for Corbin. Since the COVID year, 2020, he's 440 innings. He's given up 549 hits and 137 walks. That's amazing.
It's terrible. Like if I had to pick one guy in Major League Baseball where the average person could get a hit against that pitches regularly, dude, it's Patrick Corbin.
It's got to be.
There is not another. It's a lefty. It's 91. I mean, there are high school kids that have significantly better stuff than Patrick Corbin. Now, the interesting thing, though, you talk about the bloated contract. It's not like he sucks and came out. Like, he was a big-time prospect when he was coming up with the Diamondbacks.
Oh, he's had a good career.
Yeah, like he was obviously very good for a long time.
Yeah.
And the reason he got the big deal is because he was a durable lefty that could pitch not at the top, but like towards the top of a rotation and give you 30 starts and 190, 200 innings. And like whether that is still a thing that's valuable in the market down the road right now or at the time when he signed that contract, it certainly was. Before I want to get around the league a little bit, I just want to do like a quick standings check. So we spent some time in the National League East. At the time of recording, correct me if I'm wrong, Rays have a 5-game lead, followed by the Marlins, who are 21-21. And that trade looks genius. Like Pablo Lopez, we talked about this on the Power Ranking show. Like they look so smart for getting a Rays. And then the Phillies at 20-21, the Mets are at 20-23, and the Nationals are 18-24. So still relatively predictable with the National League East, with the Braves having a commanding lead. If we go out to the Central, something very interesting is happening, and it's with the St. Louis Cardinals. And I want to hone in on a player. And Nolan Arenado's homered in, I think it's 5 straight games now.
Yeah.
Did he homer today?
Yeah.
And so if you do that and you even go back an extra day, he tripled that day before that. So he's triple, homer,
red hot.
Homer. That's pretty amazing. He's obviously we on the show we talked about worries about his back. He didn't look right in the beginning of the year. I'll stick to that. He looks fine now. Whatever issues were plaguing him seem to be past.
The issues with Nolan have always been when he goes into these slumps and out of these slumps to me is timing issues. It's like foot down. You know, he's such a beautiful looking athlete. It would be like a running back where if he wasn't hurt and he's making the cuts, so you'd say like, well, what's going on? It's like, well, you know, he usually like, you know how Le'Veon Bell would like, you know, it's the vision. He sees the second cut. How the fuck did that guy get to the second level? There's something there with how Nolan Arenado creates his offense where it's like, how does he do that? And it's like timing. He just sees it differently. So when he struggles, I always see it as like, is his foot down? Is he hitting in timing? Chris, I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean, I feel like Arenado has been consistently doubted off and on throughout his career. I mean, if you've read his scouting report in the draft, it was hilarious. It said like, shitty feet, won't be a good defender. He's probably the greatest defensive player of this generation. It's scary for the rest of the NL Central. It's wonderful as somebody who just loves Arenado. He's one of probably in my top 3 favorite baseball players of all time. I think he's going to be a Hall of Famer. Oh, and dude, I love Nolan. Seriously. Yeah. Oh, dude, I love Nolan Arenado. Yeah, for real. In Colorado, I was one of the first who like caught on to it. I remember back in 2014 when the Tigers were good. That's how long ago it was. We were beating the piss out of Colorado in a 3-game set. Like we had one game where we scored in every inning, but there was this kid who was defensively took away about 3 hits in one game, and I believe that was his rookie campaign. And then the next year in 2015, he kind of took off. No, dude, watching him, it's like watching ballet. He's just a graceful ball player, and he mashes. I really love the fact that he's gone to St. Louis, and all these can't hit in Coors people had to shut up quickly. He had his best season last year. Dude, I think the Cardinals might end up winning the Central.
Oh, dude, at the time of recording, they're 17-26. They're 7.5 games back. They've got Craig Counsell's Brewers at 24-18, and an average Corbin Burns, and a great pitching staff. And a team with a 6.18 slug against left-handed pitching. I want to talk about that quick.
That offense
is Milwaukee Brewers as a team have a 6.18 OPS. I'm sorry, I said slug. I mean to say they're dead last. OPS a 6.
I was gonna say, okay.
Hey, it's equally eliciting, folks. A 6.18 OPS against left-handed pitching, the Milwaukee Brewers. That's dead last by a mile. The next closest is like 650, and then after that you get in the 680s, 690s. So quick, when you see Milwaukee Brewers at 24-18 though, hey, Corbin Burns hasn't pitched well. They don't hit lefties well. That's a couple pieces away. That's too quick. I mean, how hard is it to find somebody who hits for the Klemmmer? There's somebody on Roosevelt Island right now who hits left-handed pitching who could put a fucking better than a 6.18 OPS against them.
Yeah, that's pretty weak stuff. I think the Brewers though, I don't know. I think the Brewers have enough talent where I think they're going to hang around all year.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Lonnie's point about the Cardinals, like maybe winning the Central, I think that's not completely crazy. I guess they 7.5 back. They won 4 in a row before today, and they lost to the Brewers.
Yeah,
that's an interesting series, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you got to figure if Wainwright can come back strong. I don't know what's going on with Wilson Contreras. Now they have him catch again. It seems kind of chaotic over there in St. Louis. I don't know. I don't know. The Central.
Send it back to me. Send it back to me. Send it back to me. I'm fucking here. I'm the Cardinals' biggest rival. Know your enemy. I'm Sun Tzu. Okay? What they did with Wilson Contreras is one of the smartest things you could do with a guy like Wilson Contreras. Because you're not going to be able to pull him inside a meeting and be like, hey, man, it's really important that you prepare more for these starts. What you have to do is publicly embarrass him in a way that he's getting his text messages from his buddies, and it's like, yo, you're just going to DH? And it's like, no, I'm not the DH, I'm the catcher. And then you just let this outside noise get to him. He's so competitive that he's going to bounce back. I think my understanding is that they're doing that to send a message to him to see like what type of athlete he is. And historically speaking, you put this guy in a corner. He was an average third base prospect who was like, wait a second, if I catch, I can get to the big leagues faster. Let me catch. And then like 2 years later, it was like top catching prospect in baseball.
This whole situation with him is very reminiscent to me of Didi Gregorius with the Yankees after Jeter retired, where it's not even, you could get any player. The fact is and Wilson Contreras is a wonderful hitter. Like, he's had a great career. You're replacing a guy in Yachty who is like a piece of that organization forever. And I think that emotionally, it's very tough to replace that. And it's like, it's like you break up with somebody beautiful, then the next person you meet, it's like, she did that better. It's like Wilson Contreras on his own. I know of many teams that would take him catching, but it's just the circumstances, I think, that allowed him, and the team as a whole, to get off to kind of a frustrating start. I think ultimately he'll be fine.
Now, a big problem for people in the NL Central should be Jack Flaherty had a great start with Wilson Contreras on the 15th, 7 innings, 3 hits, 10 strikeouts, spinning the ball real well, spun the ball well at Wrigley Field, scattered 3 earned over 5 innings. I saw the start in person, and I remember coming back and saying, guys, the stat line wasn't great, but some of the whiffs, when you see a major league hitter swing and miss horrifically, and you see multiple of them do it in the first inning, third inning, fifth inning, sure, it's easy to look at the hitter and be like, how the fuck did you miss that? It's way more about the pitcher to be like, that guy's got some shit going tonight. Something's moving and dancing. That was Flaherty on the 9th of May. He came out the 15th to Wilson Contreras and threw 105 pitches and was fucking outstanding. Posted a 79 game score, by far his best start of the year. That's something to keep your eye on for no other reason than when you say that Cardinals can win it. This dude gets cooking. People forget when he's healthy and moving and all those parts are clicking. He's I was going to say it, Klemmmer. I'm going to let you kill me for it. When everything's working for Jack Flaherty, I think he has the stuff to be in that Cy Young conversation.
Hey, I don't know if he can be today because, man, he's had a lot of injuries. But Jack Flaherty, the second half for Jack Flaherty in 2019, 15 starts, 7-2 with a 0.91 ERA. That is outside of Arrieta, I believe, in 2015, the greatest second half, the modern age by a starting pitcher. If he can just find a way to be a shell, somewhere in between where he is now and where he was then, it makes things completely different for the Cardinals rotation. That's what's been bizarre is it might not be a rotation that blows you away necessarily, but I know there's good pitchers here. I like Montgomery. I still trust Wainwright, which is why I still kind of like.
Cardinals will trade him. I think the Cardinals could trade him.
Who, Flaherty? Or
yep, because they don't even like him. So I think if he gives you like another 3 or 4 starts, like Klemmmer, is that somebody you would throw in the rotation for the Mets?
Yeah, obviously. The Cardinals are interesting. They've had a few guys that come off very strong, and I think, oh, wow, this guy's a Hall of Fame. Carlos Martinez, early Michael Wacha.
Yeah.
And you're like, these guys in their early 20s are, like, phenomenal. Mm. And then there's injuries or other kind of weird shit that happens, and they become very average very fast.
Good point, man.
I do want to call do a quick call out to a game tomorrow, or when people hear this today, excuse me. Brewers Cardinals. You got Corbin Burns, who, like Carl said, has been very average this year, though he is getting better.
Yeah.
And Matthew Liberatore is making his first start for the Cardinals.
Welcome, Matthew.
And that's an interesting game. That has a lot of pieces. Is Burns going to keep on this hot? He's been hot the last couple of starts. Is he going to keep that up? What the Cardinals have kind of something here with Liberatore? Like what? This is. I think that's a real interesting game to keep an eye on.
Yeah, so Matthew Liberatore is an interesting guy because he came up last year, was a huge name with Nolan Gorman when he came up. The Cardinals packaged their debuts together.
Right.
Very savvy step with the Cardinals. And he's a big, good-looking kid. The problem is he got his shit pushed in, and he doesn't have very good command. Now, he's been pitching at AAA Memphis okay so far this year, more strikeouts than walks and hits and all that stuff. The problem is I just hate the walk rate, and I don't. You should not be walking guys in AAA. I'm sorry. The walks can happen in AA. Yep. The walks cannot happen in AAA. You cannot have a walk rate over 3 in AAA and come into the big leagues and succeed unless you're going to be punchy city, unless you're putting down 13 per 9. And that's an issue with Liberatore. Now, that said, though, you get to the big stage, the bright lights, the focus can get there and they can elevate it. The big issue is if they can go in and they can get this win. If Liberatore beats fucking Corbin Burns today, that's a great win for the Cardinals, and that gets that momentum going. I'm really not measuring. If it's June 1st, I expect the Cardinals to be 2 games under 500. How's that?
It's really interesting.
Yeah.
They have Liberatore facing the Brewers because the Brewers 360
lefties.
They just looked. They have a hard time getting on base. They're 13th in the National League in on base percentage. So that offense is pretty weak, as good as the Brewers are. So you wonder if that kind of lends to kind of them choosing to have him pitch in what is a pretty big divisional game against a very weak offense.
I'm satisfied with our conversation here in the Central. I will just mention quickly, the Cubs are such an enigma to me because they leave so many runners on base, about 8 per game. So their OPS plus across the team is over like 108. So the lineup is above average. Their run production, though, per game is not elite, so that, like, there's something weird where they're getting on base. Now, the team slug is mid-tier. It's like 13th, 14th. It's not like they have crazy outliers with the isolated slugging percentage or anything. Like, they're getting guys on base, they're just not converting them in the run. So
I have a question for you, Carl.
Yeah?
Justin Steele, are you nervous? His last
No, I mean, I'm not nervous. I just think I know who Justin Steele is, which is a 3.5 ERA guy and a guy who could give you 30 starts and pitch you out of slumps, and a guy who fucking wins rubber matches, doesn't give up long balls. Like, we didn't give Justin Steele $30 million. We didn't anticipate him. We didn't think he would. Justin Steele's what every organization needs to win division championships. You need to
I like him. I like him quite a bit. Yeah.
No, I do too. I just didn't know if some of the his last 2 starts have been very bad. Well, upside has been unhittable. So it's just kind of a
sure
things average out. It's a long season.
And for outsiders, Justin Steele going 2 starts before was second in Major League Baseball to 1.45 ERA behind Sonny Gray, who had a 1.35. That was going into like the first week of May. 2 starts later, tonight goes into the Astros. They hit lefties tough, Yeah. They hit everybody tough. They hit everybody tough. Where I love Justin Steele, like, good luck on a 120 Friday. Wrigley Field. Hopefully your team had Thursday off. Hopefully they get out on Wednesday night. Hopefully the boys were out all Thursday, fucking walking the wife around Lincoln Park Zoo. Like, Justin Steele's going to eat your lunch on Friday morning. When you get to the ballpark, he's the literal perfect day game Wrigley pitcher because it's just 4 seamers in on your hands. Now, does that translate well, to the Astros? I don't know. But I do very much like that guy as a piece of a staff. If there's 5 spots, that dude always has a spot on my staff. The makeup, I should say, the type of pitcher, Klemmmer. I don't want to commit my love to him right now here, but I do love him. What am I saying? I love him.
He's very good. His ERA's jumped a run in 2 starts, but then again, he was probably pitching way over his head.
No, he was at an all-star level there for a second. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Cy Young though.
Yeah.
He watched the Super Bowl at the Barstool bar in Scottsdale, Arizona. So what's that say about him?
Good guy. Salt of the earth.
Mississippi boy. Give you the shirt right off his back. The Cubs are an interesting team. I think if they hover around 500 and they can sell some pieces at the deadline, let's be realistic as a Cubs fan. That's what I would like to do. Can we trade Cody Bellinger for some other prospects? Some of these guys coming back. One of their better prospects is a guy they got from the Rizzo trade who's like a top outfield prospect, and he looks awesome, and he just keeps getting better, and he's in Double-A. So it's like now I feel so good about that because it's like, okay, well, what did Anthony Rizzo do with the Yankees? What do we do without Anthony Rizzo? And this Matt Mervis kid just hit his first career home run. So those are those moments you have to take in, and it's easier as you get older as a baseball fan because you have those moments that help you to kind of judge the moments in real time, I guess. I don't know. Let's go west. Who wants to go west?
I'll go west.
Klemmmer, what's the farthest west you've ever been? I bet you've never been west of the Mississippi other than L.A. for a week.
Crazy, man. I worked in sales for 15 years before I did this gig. I first west, I guess, is San Diego, I guess, right? Already
so you have appreciation for this time of this part of the country?
I do. I wish I had gotten out there more. I am an East Coast kid for sure, but anytime I go out west, I love it. I spent a couple months in Arizona. I have some family out there. I spent the late 90s kind of finding myself. I took a couple years off after high school, and I spent a few of those months in Arizona. And I love it out there. I think that the scenery is amazing. I'm a big fan of the South.
I need a book about the Klemmmer finding himself years. I feel like it'd be like that movie Into the Wild with Emil Hirsch.
He dies, by the way, if you haven't seen the movie.
Hopefully it doesn't end the same way.
No, I didn't eat berries and get caught in a van, but there were some little moments for sure.
Dude, they say he died from eating the berries in the movie, but I'm pretty sure it was wolves. So
or bears. Yeah.
That was heavy. But we're in the Rocky Mountains.
Good movie. Yeah.
Good actor.
That's right. You wrote the book. Yeah.
Yeah. Read the book.
Did he write the? I thought he died.
No, he. The same guy wrote into in Thin Air. I forget the author's name, but no, he had a journalist wrote
a ton of journal entries. Yeah.
Okay. If you're a baseball fan, stay with us. We're still talking baseball. We are in the Rocky Mountains. My name is Bud Black. Do I still have a job? Am I in trouble?
You're in trouble.
Am I in trouble? Can we talk manager hot seats this early? Can I do a manager? It's not hot. It's warmer than it was on opening day.
Yeah, I think we call it a lukewarm seat, right?
And most likely manager to be the first one fired this year.
Is it Bud Black?
I mean, that would be. It probably is. I think that's so silly because he's given nothing there. I mean, that's a directionless organization. But I feel like they've done this multiple times before. Not working out. Move on to the next guy. I don't think it will affect anything. But it's a few weeks ago, I would have said Ollie Mormel was near the top of that list. And with the Cardinals turning it, because he's so young, with the Cardinals turning things around, I think that's okay. Yeah, I would say maybe a potential dark horse candidate. I feel like that sounds kind of weird. Gabe Kapler. That fan base is. They had such high expectations last year, disappointing year after the magical regular season they had in 21. They're under 500 start the season. The fan base is already super frustrated there because of the offseason they had or really didn't have. I mean, in a lot of ways. So I think that he's well liked among his peers, but I don't know if that's really going to matter. I think he'd get another job, but that he could be if they continue to struggle. They've played much better lately, and I do like their starting staff, but that could be one of the first ones.
I have a name to throw in the mix too. David Bell, the Reds.
Come
on.
They lost 100 games last year. They're actually playing pretty well this year. 18.
They're not bad.
23, 19 and 23.
23, yeah.
But I mean, if they lose 7 of 8, which are going on one of those stretches, is he someone I can't say he's safe. He lost 100 games last year, so I think
I would say Buck Showalter's in bigger trouble than he is.
I think Showalter will last the year no matter what. Now after the year, I think then you could be in trouble. But I gotta think Buck has earned this year.
What about Rob Thompson? No joke. What if the Phillies are 10 games under 500 in September?
I think he finishes the year.
And if Bryce Harper's back and playing well, then do the fans start coming for him? And then the whole thing's like, dude, you have your two top-end pitchers in Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola are two of the worst-suited guys to adjust to the tempo of the pitch clock. No one's ever going to talk about that. Sorry, dude.
Fair point.
For the Cincinnati Reds. Are you mad that you're like winning 18 of you're 18 and 23 and you have this movement? Like, what do you really want from a manager? Because if you tank and you have the first pick, or you can, move up the draft, there's some really, really big names at the top of the 2024 draft too. So or do you like the fact that you have these younger players and you have some movement, knowing you're still light years ahead of the top of the National League?
I think I have his mindset here. He's happy with it right now because they're just interesting enough to get some butts and seats come Memorial Day and it's like, hey, we got 50 games into the season and we're X amount of games out of first place in a bad division. By July, internally, he'll be hoping they lose out. Because then all of a sudden, you're like, if you're 500 near the deadline and you actually have to make some decisions other than tank, that's when a lot of these owners get very nervous. So right now, it looks good on paper, helps the brand, keeps you in the black. But by come mid-season, he's going to be thinking, dude, I really don't make me do stuff.
I like that take a lot. Because if I was the Reds owner, you want to find the delicate balance of trying to keep that fan base.
For sure.
But now here's the problem. And this is something I suppose is like a good place to leave the National League Roundup show for Wednesdays. I guess before we do for like the standings impact, because we were out west, we should make the note. The Dodgers are just a wagon and the Padres are disappointing. And the Giants fans are disappointed, and you should be disappointed. And Rockies fans are very confused, and Diamondback fans are excited. And so that's the National League.
Confused is a great word, just in terms of all things that the Rockies do. They aimless, man. It sucks, man. I want to root for the Rockies. That's where Nolan fucking came. Yeah,
but they have a great ballpark and a community set up there, and a bunch of young transplants that would like go nuts about the culture on the ballpark. But I do want to go back to Cincinnati because it's such an overlooked fan base. It's one of the most historic fan bases in all of pro sports across the world. Mm-hmm. It's one of the most legendary fan bases in professional sports teams in the history of professional sports across the world of all sports. They don't leave. They haven't left. It's the Cincinnati Red Stockings. There's so much history and significance within that part of the United States. And the people that haven't left there, the people that are from Cincinnati and are, I'm fourth generation in the Midwest, third generation in Chicago, fourth generation in Chicago, really kind of. And if you told me that my great-grandfather was like in on the Cubs in like 1914 and they didn't miss games and shit, and like that part of the culture is there in Cincinnati. And it's just kind of like a way I wanted to close down the National League Wednesday show is like, yeah, they're 18 and 23. There's some promising signs there, but that's a part of the country that would just fucking jump all over quality baseball.
It's funny, man, because we talk about the Pirates and kind of lament what's happened with them, but they did have that 3-year stretch where they were very, very competitive. But we talk about them. The Reds, really, in my lifetime, have not been much different. They made the NLCS in 1995. I believe I'm right. They've won 2 playoff games since then. I mean, even, and that's sad. I feel like we should talk about them more, being essentially the original baseball organization, just floundering for a long time. I do think they're trending now in the right direction, but, I mean...
Chris, stop. They stink.
Yeah, but weren't they 5-25 last year?
Now,
they see right now.
Right now, shut up though. They were fucking great the second half, and they're fucking 5 games under 500 at the time of recording right now. Graham Ashcraft is a star. Tyler Stevenson's finally healthy. Hunter Green is emerging.
All right, I'm old enough to remember when the Reds actually won a World Series, and I saw it, and the Reds were awesome, and it was and the '95 Reds were really good.
Yeah.
And it's just
Hal Morris. Hal Morris was a great hitter.
When I say they stink, I'm shitty for shitty's sake. I'm being honest. They are not a good team, and a lot of it falls back on ownership being cheap. And really kind of like malpractice of ownership there. We see this with a lot of these teams. And, you know, a team like the Reds, the Pirates, they've been bad for so long. Like, it must just be so frustrating and I really honestly feel for those fans. Because, like, you are a loyal fan of the Reds, the Pirates, you go to these games, and you've had, like, 3 or 4 decent seasons in the last 30 years. Like, good on you. Like, that's awesome. That's loyalty. That's I think that's so encouraging, and that's great for the sport, and I think you deserve a lot of credit. And when they do it again, because hopefully they will, I think, you know, you really earned it. Like, good, that's awesome. So this is not about the fans. This is about the team is not good. Now, can they hopefully build up and get better? Just like hopefully the Pirates are doing that as well. Yeah, I'd love to see it. But right now, like, if we're gonna pretend the Reds are good, like, I'm
no one's gonna say they're good, dude. No one said they're good. Like, good to me is the Dodgers. All right, good to me is the Dodgers and the Braves. Let me just be clear about this with the National League. There's the Dodgers and there's the Braves. And then there's fucking everybody else right now.
Yeah.
Now, if you wanted to tell me that the Mets beat the Brewers in a series and the Brewers went and beat the Cardinals and the Cardinals went out and played the Giants, I wouldn't give a fuck. Because at the end of the day, the only thing I would really measure as far as what's quality in the National League, year to year, 3 years ago, 3 years forward, what do you look at? What do you trust? It would be the Dodgers and it would be the Braves. And I'm sorry to the fucking Mets, but you guys haven't done this. Put $43 billion on 2 arms that are in their 40s. Don't make me go down this. You know, and the Cubs are so far away. They're multiple players away at veteran ages and young ages and go across the league. And the same thing can be said for the American League. And you want me to come at Yankees fans right now unnecessarily or Rays fans unnecessarily? They haven't done shit. So it's hard to say, like, what's good, what's not good. What I can do is say there's some promise there for Cincinnati. Because if I'm a Cincinnati Reds fan, like, dude, no shit, I know we suck. I fucking know shit.
Let me explain myself for a second, Carl. So the Yankees, though, they have done some stuff. They've made LCS. Well, I'm just saying they're good. I'm not saying there's great. There's more than just good or bad. I'm not saying black or white here. But the Reds do stink. They stink this year. They have an ERA over 5 as a team. They have no one on the team who has 6 home runs. Like, that team, yes, they're 5 games under 500 or whatever. But it's going to get worse. They're not going to finish 83. You're back.
We were talking 5 minutes ago about their manager maybe getting, like, fired. So it's not like, we know they're bad. It's just
taking for the first
right. Right. So I think it's more.
Did get consideration. Did he win the National League Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, a couple years ago. Yeah, he did.
Franchise player.
Yeah, like, I mean, I just honestly, but like, I just think we have so much. I think the media a lot of times, you watch MLB Network, you watch some of these ESPN, you're afraid to say, don't be positive. Like, oh no, this team. It's like, no, the Reds suck. Like this, and this is the fact. Now, hopefully they can get better. And I said this is not at all about their fans at all, but the team is bad. And honestly, I think we'd be doing a disservice if we're not going to be honest. And like the future for the rest of this season is bleak. Because if 501, you look at some of the analytics here, and it does not look good for them. I don't see how anyone could feel different.
I agree. I think we're actually all in agreement here, but it sounds like we're arguing.
And that's good baseball talk. Like, we're there. The Reds, I hope every time we play the Reds, I want to win. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That said, baseball's better when the Reds are good. I would like Cincinnati to be a place where, like, they host Saturday doubleheaders. I would like to get into these kind of different vibes or themes where, like, you're going to Wrigley. Of course, you're playing day games, all that stuff. Like, I don't know. The Rockies should play at 420. Like, the Tigers should play at the most, convenient time for parking. It's impossible to get a fucking parking spot there. That's the American League show. We'll be on Friday for the American League show. This is Wednesday.
You said American League twice.
Pardon me?
They'll figure it out.
You said American League twice.
That's the American League show. That's on Friday. That's the American League show. This is Wednesday. This is the National League show.
Oh, fuck. Okay. I stand corrected.
Keep it in there. No one's corrected. All of us are wrong.
I'm right.
You're right about one thing. The fucking Mets are trash, dude. You showed up tonight, cut a show, though. Appreciate that.
Did.
Because here's the thing is, and last thing. Cubs could lose 50 fucking games in a row. It's not going to impact my own delivery of this National Baseball podcast after having gone through it last year. Like, having this, there's just been too much of this. Like, I'll worry about that shit later. They're fucking fine. Like, I'm lucky if they show up and play hard 4 out of 6 games a week and give me some sort of competitive thing that a game they could have won. So maybe by the end of the season you'll join me, Klemmmer. Maybe the Mets will beat you in a submission.
Oh, they're right on their way. This is awful. Yep, I'm on my way. I'm on my way. You know, I do want to mention one quick thing. Diamondbacks, I know we kind of glossed over them. There's only 2 teams in the National League with a better record than the Diamondbacks. That's pretty good. That's good.
Well, say them. Say the names out loud.
Oh, Dodgers and Braves.
That's right. Only 2 teams that were the shit in the National League right now.
They are great, but there is a level of good, and the Diamondbacks are in that level of good.
Very much so. Yeah.
And that's all. And you know, talking about underperforming teams real quick. You got my Mets, you got the White Sox, and you got the San Diego Padres. Those are the 3 teams that came into the season with very different expectations than what they've gotten. And I'm on the face of disappointment right now. I'm sure
we'll have a Padres expert on with us next week, or somebody. I gotta find somebody to explain this because I've waited long enough.
Yeah,
I got murdered for saying that they would. My shocking prediction was that, like, whatever, dude. I don't like their staff. I hate their depth. One of these guys sucks. Everyone's going to start pointing a finger. Castellani's going to be back on Friday for the American League show.
Wow. I hope he's getting overtime for this, Carl.
Yeah. And you know I'm fucking slinging it back here. I got the Friday American League show should be special. I want to spend some time talking about this guy right here.
Ooh, Kansas City.
He's fucking good. That's the Vinny. No, I'm just kidding. People are going to crush me for that. Stop it with the Vinny Pasquantino segments. I'll stop it when I want to. Boys, this is the Wednesday National League show. Go listen to the Monday power ranking panel so you can get caught up with the top of Major League Baseball. This is Carl, Wednesday National League show. We'll be back on Friday, American Leagues. Klemmmer has one more thing.
Go to the Barstool Sports Store right now. You can buy a shirt. It's my first shirt on the store. Oakland Bills. Talking about how the Oakland A's are going to lose a ton of games. I know it's American League, but go buy that shirt. Hurry, right now. Go buy that shirt. You can wear your Oakland A's shirt. And imagine how your friends will be impressed and you all have a good laugh and you can celebrate the A's losing 120-something games this year.
Dude, I thought I have a shirt we're going to put on sale with our logo on it on the breast pocket. It looks good. I wanted it to be our first shirt, but you cucked me on the shirt, so.
We can do both. Let's do both.
I love you, Klemmmer.
Oakland A's.
Oakland Owls, Barstool Baseball, subscribe to the feed. Castellani is going to be back on Friday for the American League. I will be in the passenger seat for that one. Can't wait for it. Thank you guys very much for tuning in. Subscribe to all our shit. Until next time, we'll see you then.